Test, test. Cool. Okay. Let's pop that down there. And whoopsies. Didn't mean to do that. Cool. So, is that working? That's not working. Yes. Cool. And then back to there. And I can see my face, and I can see. Okay, so this is going to be a pain because I can't actually see the chat or anything, but what we can do is we can pull that out and pop that there. Close that on there, and open that here, and cool. Nice. So it's going to take me a bit to get used to this and how I set things up. I'm probably going to move this tablet a bit. Oh, 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 oh. And hopefully not tip everything over, because that would be a bit on the silly side. Oh, pop this here, move this here, move that here, and then you can see my terrible face there. Nice. So, I am still terrible, but how good is that? Is it any better? Probably not. Cool. So I'm just going to mess about with this free guild marshal for a bit and see if I can get some base colors on him. I've had this kicking about for a long time, but I have always felt that they were pretty high on the detail, and as a kind of army, they take a lot of doing to get painted. So I've kind of avoided messing with it. I don't really play a lot of like Age of Sigmar myself. I don't really play an awful lot of much these days. I'm kind of on a Horus Heresy kick at the minute. I'm really enjoying it. But it's been. I played one game of Age of Sigmar 4th edition, and I used the Stormcast. You can see some Stormcast loitering around here in the background at times, I imagine. And I played one game of Age of Sigmar 4th edition, and the guy who I was playing with, I didn't really enjoy playing him, and it kind of put me off generally playing altogether. But yeah, like I had painted this for a painting competition. I had painted this the Cavalier Marshal, and I had like an absolute blast painting him. So I thought, as a good kind of opener, zero stress kind of effort, I would give him a go with my first live stream. And this is obviously just kind of like a test setup. I'm hopefully going to get this kind of set up a bit better, but it'll do. It'll do for the minute. So yeah, I've always quite liked this one. I don't know much about the Age of Sigmar guys, or the Cities of Sigmar guys. This kind of Cavalier Marshal is painted in the Living Cities kind of color scheme. So I am gonna kind of do that. Like when I first got into Age of Sigmar, like when I got back into the hobby after the hiatus, I messed about a lot with Sylvaneth. So for those that are uninformed, a lot of the kind of dryads and tree men and bits and pieces like that. Yeah, and really enjoyed painting them. And the dogs come to see me. Yeah, so really enjoyed painting them and decided to kind of like as a kind of thematic thing, do my Cities of Sigmar in that scheme. And yeah, as I said, I've got one miniature in so far, and that's about the size of it. So yeah, so I started off with one of my favourite skin colours there. It's a GW Contrast, which is Fyreslayer Flesh, which is a dark flesh. And then I've brought out the Angel Green here, which is one of the Army Paint Fanatics line. So I am gonna just try and get some colour on this cloak, which will give me a lot of the kind of base colours. Usually I paint inside to out in terms of like the hardest parts first, and then come out to stuff like the cloak last. But I think it's more impressive on a live stream to, start blocking out the biggest colours first, I guess, rather than the boring parts that you can't see. So yeah, like I was an AK Interactive guy for a long time, and since buying the John Blanche paint set, so the grim dark ones, kind of fell in love a bit with the Army Painter, the new Fanatics line. The system, like the flexible triad system, I think is the thing that makes me the kind of most excited about it. Yeah, I think I'm just talking to myself at the minute, which is kind of tantamount to madness. But this is just for a test, so that is absolutely fine. Yeah, so if there is anybody there, feel free to drop a message in the chat. So yeah, the idea is going to be to kind of do this Living Cities color scheme. Probably go quite light on the inside of the cloak. So it looks like this kind of folded over part is the inside of the cloak. So I'll probably do that in a kind of cream, like a worn stone or something like that from the Army Painter range. So, but we'll start off here with this green, which will be quite good. Just to get the main colors down here. So yeah, like I said, I was very much a fan of the AK Interactive stuff, like the AK Interactive paints. And kind of since the John Blanche release, I have kind of switched over to using the Army Painter, and I've got quite a bit of it now. I'm a pretty big fan of it. Sorry, I hadn't muted my phone, so it's kind of going off. So I'll do that. Yeah, all good there. Go, and yeah, it's been quite a good way change of pace. I like a lot of the colors. I like a lot of the bits and pieces. Sorry, I'm just typing a message. Hopefully you can see this. The camera quality doesn't look particularly great at the minute. I don't know why it's so. I don't know why it's so terrible. It's almost like it's focused on the wrong thing. I wonder why. I wonder if this is an OBS setting and I've just not got it set up properly. Let me just quickly mess about with this. Oh, that's probably not what I wanted to do. Sorry about this if you're watching. Yeah. How did I do that? What? I've really messed this up now. So hopefully that isn't completely broken. We shall see just shortly when the stream catches up. So yeah, I really do like these Army Painter Fanatic paints. I think they're really quite cool. I don't really know how this whole streaming thing's going to go. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of demand for middle-aged bearded men in the space. I think we're as a demographic in the hobby, we're pretty oversubscribed. I wonder if it's just blown out the camera there. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah, so that's the first kind of coat of the green down on his cloak here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a cream. Let's go with. So yeah, we'll go with like Gargoyle Grey. I've got one of these Vortex mixers over here, but like the habit of a lifetime of just shaking bottles is a bit of a thing. Um, yeah. Bit of a habit of a lifetime. Sorry, I'm doing my usual and becoming massively distracted by nothing. Yeah, so yeah, Gargoyle Grey, gonna use it for the interior of this man's cloak. So yeah, I'll start off on the back here. Yeah, I really do like the whole Cities of Sigmar range. I think it's quite a cool range. I don't know how they play on the tabletop. I know that there was a bit of time there where they were a bit underrated, and I think there's now kind of like a meta list where there's lots of duplicates in it, which if you spend any time talking to me, you will realize that doing things like meta lists and things like that just aren't really my thing. Yeah, hopefully, I'm completely off camera at the minute, which isn't very good. This is going to take a bit of getting used to. Of actually not scrunching myself up into a tiny ball and painting in ridiculous ways. Yeah. can only barely see my face, so that's pretty good. Nobody really wants to see my face anyway. Right. Looking good. I think these all require a bit of a second coat, which isn't too bad. To be expected. I'll just try and get some colour on the inside of his cloak because I'll need to do that for everybody who's going to turn the model upside down and inside out. Not that I'm painting him for anything other than enjoyment, so if he does look a bit rubbish, we're all good. I don't know if I'll actually finish him, but we'll see. I'm just trying to get the very edge here, just to give the suggestion that there's a colour inside the cloak. I'll probably have to redo that like a million times over the course of painting this guy, because when I come in with the second coat, I'll probably go over it with the green and make a horrible mess, which will be great. There we go. Cool. And then I think we will go with plate metal steel, plate mail steel, plate mail metal. Jeez, you'd think I was old enough that I should be able to read, but unfortunately I've got to this kind of point in life and don't want that, and still I'm unable to read. Hello from London. Have you ever painted a pastel set? No, I've never painted a pastel set. I think that would be pretty cool experiment. So yeah. How's it going, London? And I do apologise that this camera is out of focus all the time. That seems to be focusing on my hand and not the miniature, which isn't wonderful. What did you get up to this weekend? I didn't do an awful lot with my weekend. I've just kind of hung out and chatted to friends and really just, yeah, I think it's autofocus, Ben. Like, I don't know. I'm using my camera as a I'm using my camera on my phone, or using my phone as a webcam. So I don't know if I can actually switch off glad you're happy to find a chill stream. This is about as chill as you get when I'm not working. This Ben fellow, he's one of the best. He's one of the greats, the all-time greats. Although the Wordle Council and him are on the breaks at the minute, and there is lots of awesome Dimension 20. What is Dimension 20? Yeah, Ben made accusations that there was cronyism going on at the Wordle Council, and we are fully on our way to The Hague with that one. But yeah, I'm using so the camera over here, this guy. I'm using the webcam on a tablet. And then the camera that I'm using for painting, I'm using my phone camera. I don't know how that is going to evolve over time, but I'm pretty pleased with how we're doing. Awesome. That'd be cool. I'll check that out. The how are the boys? How are my best friends? I've been watching a lot of Luke recently. I've just finished. Yeah, you're totally right, Ben. Like there's probably. I'm thinking that like I can do like a preview or like a live stream off my big camera, my DSLR. And I don't know if that's going to be the better option over time, because then I can just stick that into manual focus all the time. Yeah, Luke does the Sekiro and the whatchamacallit streams and like Dark Souls randomizer stuff. It's really, really good. Although I must admit, I'm enjoying the Sekiro slightly less than the Dark Souls randomizer, simply because the Dark Souls randomizer had a ton of comedy. Yeah, I think you're right. Like I think the DSLR option is potentially the way to go. Like, I don't know. It's just going to take a bit of kind of practice with this. Like, this is obviously so. I set this all up, and I've kind of just jumped on and thought, why the devil not? Let's give it a shot. But yeah, it's one of my friends, Imogen, has been encouraging me to give the streaming a shot. So as they do streaming, and I really enjoy watching them. So yeah, thank you. I did try and set up another YouTube account, which was my the one that I'm going to use going forward, but because you have to wait 24 hours to be approved for live streaming, which is like when you decide to do something like on a Sunday morning and you don't really do the research. Tell me if this is a story that, if you know me, then it's kind of like norm. But yeah, like yeah, started off, and it is yeah, bit of a pain. That's pretty cool. Feels more like War Dollies. War Dollies. I mean, one of these days, I'm gonna get you guys to play with some War Dollies. I think. Certainly, um, if I keep bombarding you with the crap from my um Instagram account. War Dollies as life is the upshot. Much like football. Cool. So yeah, like I've just blocked in a lot of the kind of metallics here. Um, I've given him his cloak and things like that. I forgot, like I want to paint this shield green, so I think I'll go back to the green now, which is going to be angel green because we all know that angels are green. They're a collection of eyes and also green. But yeah, I'll give that a look. The Dimension 20 stuff. I'm sure you guys mentioned it already, and I've kind of just forgotten because I'm always forgetting everything. This guy is not an angel. The reason why this paint is called Angel Green is that there is a Space Marine chapter called the Dark Angels, um, and the Dark Angels are coloured green. So because this is army painter paint, um, they 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 don't want to copyright infringe a Games Workshop thing. So what they have done is they've called it Angel Green rather than Dark Angel Green. Um, because Games Workshop, unfortunately, is super litigious when it comes to these things. This guy is a Cavalier Marshal. So remember sorry, he's a Free Guild Marshal. So remember my competition piece that was the guy on the horse. So he is a Free Guild Cavalier Marshal, and this guy is a Free Guild Marshal. So the difference being one of them has a horse and the other has feet. Well, I'm sure the guy on the horse has feet as well, but um, and of course because there's like massive latency, um, I've now seen that that was off camera, like for all that time that I was doing it. But yeah. So I just thought I've got a ton of stuff that I should be painting, but like I wanted to just paint something that was just not like I'm doing a lot of Leagues of Votann stuff, the new releases, um, and yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know if you've heard of park runs, but these guys are both like heavily involved in the park run scene, um, because of various accusations of cheating and things like that. The they've had to come dab-handed. So one of them's got a sword and a horse for chasing down like cheaters, and the other one's got like a massive hammer and shield for once they've been found being punished. Yeah. There was last weekend the near where I stay in Scotland. There was the kind of marathon here, which caused all manner of mayhem because you know that way when you suddenly close all the roads in small towns, people just can't do anything. There is a ton of cronyism in the parkrun scene apparently. There's actually like a whole there's actually a whole thing about parkruns and cronyism, and like there's like a lot of people that actually turn up for parkruns and cheat because it's a it's like a status symbol now doing parkruns, which is just like absolutely the bizarrest thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, you know, because you don't really, there's not really anything other than, you know, posting on your LinkedIn or similar where you whatchamacallit, like get any kind of kudos. I guess if you're Strava, but you would have like if you're cheating on Strava, like Strava takes all your GPS stuff, right? So um yeah, so you wouldn't really be able to cheat as well. Yeah, there was a guy that posted on like the R Scotland. Um, I'm also um I'm also not built for run. Devastating across 10 yards. Built like a dwarf, like a tall dwarf. Um, there was a guy on the Scotland Reddit who was talking about how he had got roped into doing like it was like 5 pubs and like 18 miles. So like what they were doing is they were running across um running between these 5 pubs, and like the total mileage that they were doing was like was like 18 miles between going to these pubs. And like the thought of that is pretty devastating, right? Because once you get to like the fifth pub, surely you're going to be pretty pissed, you know? Like, and running while pissed seems like a pretty bad call, you know? But yeah, running in general is just a bad call. Someone who just likes to kind of move very slowly. Right, cool. So I've painted on his shield. Um, yeah, inebriated and running seems like a bad combination. Um, and I've painted in some of his cloak. I've done his skin. So yeah, like the colours I've used so far have been um, Fyreslayer Flesh and Gargoyle Grey, Plate Mail, Metal, and Angel Green. Tracked with different app, and people have worked it out. They can fudge the data. I don't know why you would. I don't understand the why you would do it. Like I don't know. Like it's pretty mad. Pretty mad. Um, I'm gonna switch over to a color called Deep Grey, and I'm going to do his gloves and boots in this color. I'll be highlighting this up quite a bit, but I just want to see what it looks like to start off with once it dries. But yeah, the yeah, like I pretty much just like sitting still. Good combination of gargoyles and angels, right? Like it's you gotta you gotta protect your cathedrals somehow. Gotta protect your cathedrals. Yeah, it's funny the LinkedIn thing is a disease. Um, I get drawn into it sometimes. So like a guy that has helped me get a couple of jobs, deep grey because of the colour associated with deep dwarfs or something. It might be this. I don't know. Like army painter is like it's unusual. Like army painter does this thing where you've got like the main like color, like the shorthand color name, But then what you've got is down here, you've actually got like the kind of flexible triad they call it. So like, you know, like triads are usually like three things, but in this instance there's six because it's flexible. So this deep grey is like the second in the black and greys. So like ideally what you can do is you can highlight through this. So it's quite a cool system. Like for somebody like me that isn't like naturally gifted with like color theory and stuff like that, it makes like color selection like for highlighting and doing different bits and pieces quite good. But like the the weird thing about it is some of them have got like fantastical color names. Like I'm just looking at some of these in front of me, like Hydra Turquoise and Neptune Glow or Fiery Vermilion, and then this one's just like dark dark grey. You know, like it's almost like the guy who was doing the creative writing that day was out to lunch. Yeah, so there's that like yeah, I kind of got like sorry, I got off track there. Like, but the what do you call it? Like, I kind of got like brought back into LinkedIn. So there's like a guy who has got me a couple of jobs, or well, I guess I got the jobs. He did the introductions kind of thing, not to give him like super lots of credit, you know. Um, but yeah, like the what do you call it? The he's like asked me for recommendations on like you know to write him a recommendation on LinkedIn, and like I don't know, like maybe like I'm just not in the circle, right, like of like LinkedIn folks, but like I've never read any recommendations on LinkedIn. Like I've never looked somebody up and went, let's see what other people are reviewing this person, you know? Because like I put as much credence in it as an Amazon review, right? Like where there's like, you know, five different 5 stars and like one star, and it's some absolute lunatic. Because like, what would it honestly take for you to give someone a poor recommendation in LinkedIn? Like, surely there's only going to be good recommendations on LinkedIn. You know, like there's not going to be like I guess recommendation's the wrong word, right? Like because a recommendation is going to be positive, right? But like what's like the negative of recommendation? Yeah, exactly. I don't know if anybody look. I think it's just all kind of like a weird, like almost like meta game, right? Yeah, like I don't even know if you can if you can actually choose which ones to not show. That seems like a bit of a a bit of an unusual thing, right? Um, I'm just trying to work out because this guy now has he's kind of undercloak here, which I think I want to do in like a kind of like dark brownish way. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point, Pangan. Like it's how do you actually get to the point where it's you get to that point? So talking about like you know the guy being out to lunch when there's um you know when stuff's going on, right? You've got again we're using deep grey there, and I'm now going to move to a color called Tundra Taupe, which is again quite a good name for any sort of paint, right? Like yeah, I've done that thing again where like I've gone completely off camera. There you go, Tundra Taupe. You get to see that. The latency in this is absolutely killing me because like I'm talking about stuff and then like because I'm the way I am then immediately forgetting what I've talked about. Yeah, so I'm just going to put in his undercloak here. in this Tundra taupe, and I'll hopefully kind of darken it down. Alliteration does make everything better. I do agree. That is true facts. True facts. But yeah, I hope you all had good weekends. I'm kind of sad to be going back to work tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know how to sort this. Like, I think if if I didn't have the webcam tilted forward, or the tablet tilted forward, it would have probably been better. I think now, once this catches up, you'll be able to see the face, the moneymaker. There you go. We've caught up again. But yeah, I don't know how often I'm gonna do the streaming thing. I think it'll be quite a good distraction from the toils of every day and give me something else to really get up to. I'm hoping that to switch over. I think Pangan, you obviously know me, and you know that this is kind of like my operating procedure, like for most things in life. I mean, it's quite a good beard. Like I think it's probably one of my all-time greatest achievements. You know, like it's the best thing that I've ever brought into this world. But yeah, now I'm completely off camera because I wasn't concentrating on what I was doing. Yeah, my friend Imogen that streams has got tape and has taped out like a square on their cutting mat so that they have like a visual reminder of what do you call it, the a visual reminder of where to actually hold the miniature and things like that. And I think over time, well, yeah, like that is in the works, Pangan. That's in the works. The man himself is just off camera here, um, and he's in his chair. And I did on my Instagram reel, I did promise that there was the potential that you might just see a guest appearance from the real star of the show. Mr. Bosco. I've got a puppy called Bosco, who is a um, year old, just over a year old Springer Spaniel. Um, and I can show you him. He's asleep at the minute. Let me just, hopefully this doesn't make anybody motion sick, but there is. Let me just unlock my phone so that I can see what's going on. There is Mr. Bosk. Oh, he's not in focus. There he is. He is doing big sleeps. But yeah, once I get things a bit more sorted out, hopefully, because there's a whole obviously not really done an awful lot with like OBS and things like that in the past, but there's like lots of kind of macro stuff that you can set up. Oh, I feel like everybody's gonna have been sick there. He's a big boy now, Pangan. He has got absolutely massive. Certainly from the last time you saw him. He is a precious young man. He's He's a great. He's my best friend. Yeah, like I think like I need to like on my phone I can basically set like in the kind of like on Pixel phones you can essentially use it as a webcam. There is like the ability to set where the focus is. Um, so I think I just need to keep going back to it and doing it that way. Yeah, he was 10 weeks old at the time, so he was but a young master, barely alive. Yeah, so I quite like how this is turning out. So this taupe's quite nice. Um, so I think for the hammer haft, I think I want like I think I'm going to go with a ruddy brown, because we've got a lot of greens going on, and if we refer to um, the old color wheel here, the other MVP, red is opposite green on it. So hopefully what we can do is do that. Haft, hardly knew him. Or so the question is, do I go with a ruddy terracotta or a ruddy terra? That's probably too orange. Or do I go with the real MVP and go with like so we can go with oak brown. So this is part of the ruddy brown. I do apologise that I've got dirty hands, but I've been painting most of the day, so I think it's a ruddy terra. Yeah, so we'll go with the oak brown, because I just want to go do it okie dokie. So yeah, just gonna pop in. The thing is, what I'll do as well is the inside of his let me move over a bit here. The inside of his shield, I'll need to do this same color. Yeah, so this will probably be even more mayhem. I mean, young Bosco here sleeps quite a lot at this time of night. He's quite a sleepy character, but unlike a that's red and tone. Yeah, I think you're right. Like it's probably the better option with that. Okie dokie. Oakley dokley. Ned Flanders is here. Yeah, in a couple of weeks' time, I've got one of my friend's dogs staying, Betsy, and she is super wild. Compared to she is a cocker spaniel. Young Bosco that you just met is a Springer, and he's just a slightly different beast. Whereas Betsy is super wild. But yeah, I think he's turning out okay. I don't know if I'm happy with the colour of those gloves at the minute, but we will persevere. We'll persevere with it at the minute. But yeah, just gonna get the inside of this shield is going to be a pain in the backside. So usually when I'm painting stuff like this, I'd have probably painted the inside of the shield first. Agreed. Paparinos are to be protected. Yeah, like usually what I would have done is I would have painted the inside of this shield as one of the first things that I painted. Simply because if I made any mistakes, it's easier to um to do it. Painting over isn't so bad. Like it depends what you're doing. So like if you're painting over something like a yellow, or like sorry, if you need to paint a yellow over something like a darker color, like a brown or a black or something like that, you oftentimes need to go to like a white or an ivory first, because the pigments for yellow aren't as good or aren't as strong as they're not as like opaque kind of thing. So yeah, like I guess it depends is the real answer. It depends how light the color is, or depends how dark the color is. Um, so yeah, like usually if you were doing a yellow, like don't get me wrong, yellows have got a lot better. Like a lot of the kind of modern yellow colors are pretty decent kind of thing. But really what you one of the kind of things that you like I've done it a bit on this model, like you can see it on the shield there. What I've done is I've kind of worked the paint too much um while it was drying. So what you can see is you can see like there's micro textures on it now. I'm not massively bothered by it, but like if this was a competition piece or something like that, like people would be like mad into it. So like realistically, the thing is patience. When you make mistakes, so if you get to it immediately, you can basically flood it with water, and that then sorts out most of the paint. So you've not got as much of a cleanup to do. But yeah, like if you leave it to dry, you can usually fix it quite quickly. But if it's like half dried, you end up in like a world of hurt basically, which isn't which isn't great. Which isn't great. So yeah, that's the inside of his shield done. So yeah, like he's got like I don't know if it's clear on the model, but there's like he's got just like a cord here, like with some sort of medallion. So I'm just gonna just try and get that in with with the brown there. The webcam's probably just not good enough there. I mean, I would paint everything hot pink, like uh, in this way. It's wicked pink that we're looking at here, but um, wicked pink only. Yeah, so yeah, the kind of bits that we've still got to do now are the gold. So you can probably, I mean, that pink was completely off camera. Great, Peter. So yeah, you can see that all this filigree needs done, and then um, the he's got like a brooch there. Um, yeah, so we'll get that done, and then the we've got the bottom of his. I'll actually just paint that in brown. So the bottom of his scabbard picking out, so that needs done in gold. So yeah, the middle of this shield is going to be. I should really show that properly. Yeah, there's the pink, wicked pink, wicked pink. Um, yeah, so we've got like the filigree gold, and then I need to pick, and then like the kind of bit around his shield here. The middle of his shield needs painted in. Um, I'll probably just take some of this gargoyle grey, because it's going to have a transfer over it, a decal or a decal, if you will, um, in there. And then I just need to pick what colour I'm going to do his hair, um, which I'm not kind of sure what colour I'm going to do his hair just yet. Like oftentimes I would do, I'd probably go with a black, but we'll see. We'll get there. So yeah, I'll do some of this filigree work. So I need a gold for that, but I want like quite a light gold. I think that'll do it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the fine gold here. I think I'll actually go in with a dark gold to start with, and then like highlight up with a yeah. So we'll go with dwarven gold. So this is from scale 75. This fine gold that I was just showing you, that's from Darkstar Molten Metals. These are like my absolute go-to um, metal ranges. I really enjoy the scale 75 stuff, and the Darkstar Metallics is pretty cool as well. So yeah, go with some gold. Going for gold, like the old TV program. I'm obviously dating myself here. Um, so yeah, so the gold, I'm just going to try and get the filigree here, just to kind of pick it all out. And then just the kind of parts around the shield here. So we'll start off with the shield and I'm just going to make sure you can actually see what I'm doing. So that's cool. So yeah, we'll just kind of go around the shield. And I'm not really fussed about making mistakes at this part because we're still just in like base coating kind of territory at the minute. So there's going to be, so you can see that I made a bit of mistake there, and I've got some gold on the inside of the shield, and I'm just going to take some water and just flood it out. So you can see all and then I'm just going to wick up that water with my brush. But because it's a metallic paint, so the way that the metallic paint becomes shiny is they either like, so depending on what type of paint it is, they use either like aluminium powder or mica to make it shiny. So when you flood out like that, like basically what happens is you can see all the sparkly bits left over. Um, yeah, what time are we on? Cool. So we've been gone for about an hour now. That's quite cool. That's actually flown by, which is quite cool. So yeah, it's like we'll get the gold done here just to give it a bit of a look, and then it kind of gets me to the point um, of having all the base colors on, which is a bit of a win. A bit of a win. Thank you all for coming along and chatting. It's made it slightly better. I was kind of, again, if you know me, you know that I'm kind of worried about these kind of things. Like, even though I shouldn't, um, there's still a bit of water still in this part here, which is causing me a bit of mayhem. Um, but yeah, I worry about these kind of things. So having you all show up has been very nice. Yeah, back to work tomorrow. So if you've my Instagram War Dolly Studios has a lot of a lot of the work that I've been doing recently. Mostly just um, working on the new Leagues of Votann release. Um, I'm a bit of what I would call a dwarf pervert. Um, Insofar as I love all kind of formats of dwarfs. So like the current Leagues of Votann um, release, or the kind of second part of the release, has has been what I've been working on mostly. So this has been quite a nice palette cleanser. Just to kind of switch up to something else. But yeah, I kind of started I started doing commissions a while ago, and I must admit it hasn't been particularly fruitful of recent. A lot of people asking about them, but not a lot of kind of follow up. But we'll get there. I think it's all just going to be building a bit of a brand, and you know, like actually putting myself out in front of people, kind of thing. Like, because at the minute I'm a bit of a hide under a rock kind of way. Yep, thorn coded. um, yeah, you can tell by like the long hair and the beard that if I could, I would. But yeah, no, but again, customer conversion progress. Yeah, like if I could, Ben, I would. But no, thanks very much for coming along and watching me and listening to me talk shit. Like I don't know if I'm particularly entertaining or not. But yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's an excellent point, Sloth. Is like that you just gotta be consistent, right? And like I'm not very good at selling myself. As people that know me will probably testify, I'm probably my biggest critic. Um, so yeah, um, it's a bit of a learning process for me especially. Thanks very much, Pangan. It's been quite good. So yeah, I'm just lightly doing like a lot of people get like super hung up on doing stuff like this, specifically the filigree type work here. Um, and it's just all down to like a bit of like light brush control, where you just rather than using we were rather than using the point of the brush, because the point will fall into the kind of crevices and stuff like that. Like we use the side of the brush. The steady hands thing is an interesting thing because there's actually a total secret to it. Is it's just bracing your hands, as silly as it sounds. So see if you've got like really shaky hands. See even if you just like lightly touch your hands off of like some like so like it's hard to see, but like I've got my hands like this, and the kind of bottom of my hands are braced on the desk. And it's not like I'm pushing down on it kind of thing or anything like that. Um it's just simply resting on it, and it's just enough to give you like that kind of steadiness. And it's funny, even if you kind of cup your hands together, you'll find that you're way steadier with that, than if you're just holding your hands wildly out in front of you. Yeah, exactly like a potter. It's the exact kind of same dealy. I've been good. I haven't painted on my nail as yet on this stream, and I've just caught myself doing it. So um, like my day to day, like I try to paint for like at least 15 minutes every day. Um, and usually what it would be is that my hands, especially like my left hand, so I use my left hand for holding models and kind of thing. So I also use it for cleaning excess paint off the brush, because one of the mistakes that a lot of kind of new people in the hobby do is like loading the brush up with far too much paint. Um, I should say that I'm not like an absolute like expert kind of thing, but I do quite a bit of painting. I think like anything, the more you do kind of thing. Painting nails are popular. It's funny you should say that. I was looking at, so like people that do like painted nails or nail art and things like that have these really cool long brushes. So the bristles are like super fine and they're super long kind of thing. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to paint like real fine lines, um, like almost like an old-fashioned sign writer kind of way. Um, so I was thinking about getting a hold of some of them just to give a shot of, to see how they actually convert. Because I imagine like a lot of the paints, like if you don't know, if you've not done like a lot of model painting, most of the paints that you're using are acrylic based, rather than like enamel or anything like that. I mean, there are kind of like enamel and like oil based products kind of thing, but yeah, generally speaking, you're using acrylics most of the time. Yeah, like, and that's another like it's another great technique to learn is like the like when you're doing things like that, it's like a straight up and down. Like you need to learn the process of, yeah, like the kind of like move the model to where you're doing it. So if you're doing like pinstriping or like checkboxing or checkers or anything like that, like you move the model so that you can get your hand into like the most um natural position for doing the lines. Um so yeah, that's his filigree done. Um I've got his sword hilt here. Um so I'm gonna do the pommel gold. So I'll pick out that pommel gold. I like to do the handles in like a kind of like winey red. So I'll grab that in a second and then I'll um paint in his handle there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint in the back of the axe here, or the hammer here, like the lightning bolt here, gold, just to give it a bit more detail. And then I'll get a bit of water because I've got some gold on his shoe there. So I'm just gonna again just flood it with water, and it takes off most of the paint, or most of the wet paint. Yeah, so that's we're in a pretty good shape. What I haven't done yet is he's got like a collar in here, which I missed. So I'm just gonna paint that in silver because it looks like it's part like one of the biggest problems with painting miniatures generally is that the um is like actually working out what each of the things is, um, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I'm probably massively off camera here because I've tilted this. But yeah, I'm just gonna try and get his, I believe the technical term for it is a gorget. So yeah, just gonna paint that in. It doesn't really matter if I mess it up a bit because we can always fix it. I think one of the things that you have to, generally speaking, come to terms with is like fixing your mistakes. Like you just have to gorget. It's like a bit of armor that protects your neck, I believe. I mean, I could be entirely wrong. I've been wrong in the past, and I'll probably be wrong again. And I've just got red paint all over here, so I'm just gonna, yeah, just flood it out and then try wicking it all up. There we are. Go. So yeah, and then I've got more paint on it, which is great. So this is one of these examples of, you know, like when I was saying earlier that you should really paint inside out. So like get the is the paint toxic? So you probably noticed me putting my paintbrush in my mouth once. So the paint itself isn't toxic. However, there are antifungal things in it, like so that it doesn't go moldy, which you shouldn't really consume. But yeah, like if you were using like enamels and oil paints, they're definitely not good for your alcohol-based paints, but they are water-based paints. There's not really any excuse. I shouldn't really be doing it, but it is just habit, unfortunately, at this point. Right, I'm just going to turn this model upside down so that I can get better access to this sword haft, or this, not sword haft, but like the hull. Right, so we're in good position. So I've got a bit of silver paint on his face, so I'm just going to go back in with a brown, and I've also got like a pot of water off camera here, which I'm using to clean the brush. So mostly what I'm putting in my mouth is what do you call it? What's the word? The dirty paint water. Not that that's any better, I guess. Yeah, cool. So we're doing pretty okay here. We have got everything in, so I need to come back in and do some green on his shield, and then I've got like this part to do, and then I've got his hair, and then that'll be the base colors all done. And then once I do that, I'm gonna have to say goodbye for the evening because I need to take the dog for his constitutional. We can't say the W word around here because um, that's a trigger word. So we stick with constitutional. Um, it's slightly more wordy, but it causes less excitement generally. Okay, so there's a bit of green here that I've missed. I'm just going to come in, just tidy that up. And then I've missed a bit here, so I'm just going to come in and tidy that up there. Nice. So that's the shield pretty much done. Yeah, you gotta avoid the W word at all costs. Cool. So what I'm gonna do is I have a paint over here, and I'm gonna use this black for his hair. So we're just gonna come in and just give him black hair. Yeah, that is a good point, Ben. I'm worried about that, or Pangan, sorry. I'm using your Sunday name. Yeah, like until he learns the C word. The C word has different connotations, right enough. Saying the C word rather than the W word, I guess. Um, he has not in a year learned the C word as yet, but we shall see. Oh, ba-dum bum. The crowd go wild. So yeah, giving him his little brown hair or his black hair. So I'm just trying to take it all the way up to the brown here, because like one of the things that kind of elevates your painting will be like definition between things. So if you can get the definition between things slightly more. Goes wild. If you can go get the definition between things right, like it tends to make everything pop slightly better. So that's his hair. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back in with the gargoyle grey. And then there's an active emoji of the crowd going wild. So we're just going to come in here and I'm just going to do this. Just going to pop in this. I do have someone making me up a slightly better, my friend Imogen that I mentioned is doing me they are a fantastic graphic designer, and they have started working on an OBS overlay for me. So this one that I'm using just now was just one that I found on the internet. So we'll hopefully have something a bit more custom next time. I've also got a proper microphone coming rather than my headset. Yeah. What colour the gloves should be. I don't even know if I can do a poll. Start a Q&A, answer questions. Well, there you go. That is my first ever poll in a oh, something else is is winning. I should have just added something that said, what do you call it? I just want to see the results. 100% on the others. 2 votes for something else, right? Okay, so if we're doing something else, what color should we do the gloves then? Give me some ideas. Right, so pretty happy with how he's turning out. See, this is why I didn't want to, you put that kind of choice out into the market, and then you're suddenly got a man with hot pink gloves. Yeah. So the last thing that I'm going to do is Oxblood Red. Now we're talking. What have I got in an Oxblood Red? I've got Vermilion, Fiery Vermilion. I see the hot pink is I look absolutely terrible, by the way. Like I'm just looking at myself in the camera, and I've not had a good weekend for sleeping. I'll put it that way. Like I could do, like I've got a ruby that's probably too pink. Cadmium orange, blood red. So we've got a blood red that we could go. Or we could go we've got a resplendent red, which would be like a warm red gloves, which potentially would be an option. Because one of the things that we're going to do, like after we do his gloves, is what's that? We've got a sun red. So I guess if I move these slightly out of the way, you'll be able to see the colours that I'm pulling down. Blood red, sunlight red, resplendent. I don't know why I'm struggling to say the word resplendent. What else have we got? I'm kind of leaning towards this resplendent red, if I'm honest. I think that'll look quite cool, actually, because again, red is opposite green. And then by the time we darken it down, yeah, because like I was saying, the last thing that we'll do, like once we've got the gloves in here, is to I think kind of red brown. We have a beast brown. Yeah, resplendent looks like the I think maybe beast brown. This looks like it could be an option. What do you think? If I put some out on the palette, you'll be able to see it a bit better. So let me yeah, like that's one of the problems with so that's it there on the palette, just down here. This is one of the problems with a lot of the kind of naming of these colors. Like they're oftentimes a bit of a kind of misnomer. It's why, like, and the army painter have gone to using, like, like this is the ruddy brown range, ruddy brown. Like they've all got like a kind of series, a paint series kind of thing. I've now moved my camera and I've got no idea where I should be putting this miniature. So yeah, that looks quite good. I quite like the look of that. So I think like I've kind of lost my train of thought about that. So one of the things that we're going to do before, just the last thing that I do before I stop for the night, is there's this kind of concept of doing a wash whereby we are going to basically use like a really thinned down acrylic paint, and we're going to put it basically all over the model. And what it will do is it kind of, because of the capillary action, what it does is it moves into all the recesses. So what it will do is it'll give it an all over kind of darkening of like the colours. And then like one of the first things I'll do when I'm next painting this guy is to start brightening those colours back up. So like at the minute I'm kind of just doing like what I would say is like the mid-tone colours, which are going to end up with the darkest stuff. But yeah. think I'm going to do his boots this color as well. I think it makes sense to do that. Capillary action, 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 action. It's why like oil paints are quite good, because you can, so like oil paints are like pigments like suspended in oils kind of thing. So if you reduce them down with like white spirit, what you can do is it helps break the surface tension of them. So like they then, like capillary action wise, go into all the kind of recesses rather than like they're pulled into the recesses because of the surface tension's really low. So you end up then, like, rather than actually going in with a paintbrush and like painting all the recesses, you can like make the paint work for you. Um, so yeah, like we're like this is essentially at the point at the minute we're just getting base colors down. So like the actual kind of final look of the model is probably going to be pretty different. Like, because one of the problems that you have with miniature painting is that you have to start thinking about how the light affects things, because the light doesn't like affect this size of thing the way that you would expect it to. So you end up having to paint in your highlights and your kind of shadows and things like that. So you have to actually like manipulate the model so that you've got it. So there we have it. That's I quite like that. That's quite cool. He's quite cool. I like him. So yeah, that's all his base colors in. I've not painted like, so he's standing on a hill, and like things like that. I've not painted that in yet. That's one of the last things that I'm gonna do. But yeah, like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get like a color called, where is it? If I can find it. Warm shade. Ba, 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 ba. Purple. Is it out somewhere? Is it out somewhere? It might be on my other desk. I can't see it. Sorry, this is thrilling television. Absolutely thrilling television. Peter tries to find things on his desk. Let me just there we go. So yeah, I'm gonna pull out a wash here. If I can actually get my hands on it. There we are. So what this is it's called Grimdark Shadow. Um, it's like a super watery paint, like rolls into the abyss. Yeah, there's not the background here isn't very bright. So essentially what this is going to do is I'm going to switch. So I've been using quite a small brush, like a kind of pretty fine brush with a point. I'm going to switch out to a much bigger brush. And what this is going to do is this is going to give me the all over painting. So like essentially I'm just going to ruin everything I've done already. And you'll be able to see the effect that we get. So a lot of people in the painting community will call what I'm doing here using liquid talent, because it immediately like makes the miniature look like tons better. Not so much tons better, it was looking good. Not to blow my own trumpet, it was looking pretty good. But like what it does is it gives you that kind of pretend shadowing kind of thing. Like this is just gonna darken everything down, and then like the first thing that I'll do when I'm next painting. What? Of course, the colour you get from the abyss. Midnight Shadow, Grimdark Shadow. It's one of my favourite paints at the minute is Grimdark Shadow. Yeah, like a patina kind of thing, like it's just grubbying it all up kind of thing. Like I'm a big proponent of things not being factory fresh. I think like the idea of like, you know, like warriors who have been fighting for years, and like if you're into the kind of Warhammer lore, um, like warriors that have been fighting for like 10,000 millennia, you know, like turning up in like, you know, like clean clothes. It's a bit of a kind of ridiculous, like conceptual thing, you know. So one of the things that I just need to make sure is, so one of the dangers of this is that this paint will pool and it will give me like tide marks and things like that. So like I'm just, so you can see that on like the tip of the hammer here, like it's pooled at the bottom. So I just want to wick some of that off. I don't want it so much to pool. And one of the cool things here is you'll see that, and these are good power washing, and the S on his hammer here is going to be dark now, so it like almost defines that. It defines the kind of recesses and things like that. So it basically, rather than me having to come through and do that all manually, it, it gives me that magic without having to worry. Um, it does, however, mean that like in the next time I'm painting this guy, like one of the first things that I'm gonna have to come and do is like bring those colours back out. So like the greens and the kind of and the colours here, I'm gonna have to reinforce them, kind of thing. But that's all part of the process, right? Like, yeah, exactly. It adds all the depth to the shadows, kind of thing. It gives you all that kind of recess, and yeah, it's why like a lot of people call it talent in a bottle, right? Like that you don't have to actually go in and manually do that. But like the real kind of magic now is that once you've got the recesses like this, you actually come back in and highlight this all back up. So like it's not going to be as dark as this. Like the darkest parts are going to be that dark, but like you then have to do like the kind of contrast of it is that the lighter parts are going to be super light, you know. Um, yeah. So there you have it. That's a bit of work this evening. Um, I've quite enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed it. Um, thank you. I'm probably gonna close down for the evening. But thank you all so much for coming along and watching, and chatting away to me. I was worried. I thought we might be in a Field of Dreams situation where I'm mentally ill Kevin Costner seeing ghosts of baseball players, and building it, and then no one turns up. You know, like I've now ruined my cornfield and have a baseball baseball pitch, baseball field. What's the pitch field? I don't know. But thank you so much for coming along, and it's been great chatting to everyone, and I hope you have a really easy week coming up. Um, I'll put this somewhere where you can actually see it. Let me just go onto my phone. Yeah, so I will be streaming probably reasonably regularly. Um, I don't really have any kind of field diamond. Yeah. Um, yeah, like so I do have another YouTube channel which I'm going to be streaming off of. But if you follow my Instagram, which is at Wardolly Studio, um, yeah, I'll post on there with the link to my new YouTube, and yeah, you can follow the kind of work that I'm doing and things like that. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a fantastic week, everybody, and we will talk soon. Bye 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 bye. I should really show you Bosco one more time before you go, because he's now awake. There he is. Here's your Bosco. It's a Bosco boy, isn't he? He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Bye, 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 bye.